Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tech Economist. Yep, you can probably guess what I'm going to say, probably all of you, but for some reason people think I place far too much importance on this element of the business. Yes, that's right, 4680 sales. People say I care too much about how well 4680 production is going, so perhaps we need to sort this out finally. I'll let you know why I think the core part of Tesla's future is about 4680 growth, and then please, in the comments, let me know why I may be wrong or what it is that I've missed that would have anything close to the same impact on the future growth of this company. And yes, I'll first interject what I assume might be a popular comment, FSD. But you can't have FSD without a car, and if you need lots of cars, the only way is to have 4680 cells with dry battery electrodes for the anode and cathode at the rates that Tesla have told us they're capable of. If there is ever a chance of seeing Tesla produce 5 to 10 million cars a year, then they need the cells for them. There's no other chemistry that comes close to those numbers without dry battery electrode processes. Besides, FSD is too hard to quantify, analyze, or predict when it might be ready. Even Elon is off by 7 years to date. Admittedly, also off with 4680 cells. Now you might say that simply they can just use LFP cells, and they're abundant coming out of China. Well, they still need new factories to build these cells, and they're very capital intensive. However, in China, they are able to have cell factories up and running within about a year. Tesla's supplier for LFP cells is CATL. However, they seem to be vertically integrating themselves into vehicles and energy storage too. They may no longer be willing to supply Tesla with any more cells. On the other hand, even if they did, they may no longer be willing to supply Tesla with an increased amount of cells. On the other hand, even if they did, then Tesla are pretty much at market saturation when it comes to their LFP vehicles for Model 3 and Model Y. The factories are at capacity, and likely even if they increase production, there may not be enough demand without reducing prices so much that it really starts to affect margins. Of course, Tesla could release a new model that is lower cost and uses LFP cells too, but it sounds like the objective for the new model is to use 4680 cells, as it would have to be so much lower in cost and production according to Elon, likely on the new platform, which is no doubt using structural battery packs with cell-to-vehicle integration, which would require 4680s in order to get the cost of production as low as possible. Which is also a major reason why Tesla need to grow with 4680 cells: cost. If Tesla want to sell as many cars as they're aiming for, then they need to get the costs down, so they can lower the prices of their cars and thus increase demand to meet the additional supply. Tesla want to be the largest auto manufacturer on the planet. Few people on the planet can afford a Tesla currently. Elon says the cost of a 4680 cell is around $70 per kilowatt hour compared to around $120 for a 2170 cell. In addition to that, if they're produced in the US, then they get further $45 in subsidy per kilowatt hour, meaning the battery costs about $25 a kilowatt hour at the cell level. This is absolutely insane. The current 4680 vehicle has approximately a 70 kilowatt hour battery. That would mean it costs $6,500 less for the battery compared to using 2170 cells. Although admittedly, Tesla would be getting half the subsidy from the 2170 cells. That all goes into gross profit. That is a substantial saving and can be passed on to the consumer at around a 15% lower price if we include the subsidies, which would mean it increases demand substantially. Not only that, for the semi-truck, I was wondering how that would really be profitable unless Tesla raised their prices significantly, as the 2170 battery would cost around $120,000 in that vehicle, which is obviously a huge cost. Now Tesla are actually sharing half the subsidy with Panasonic for those cells, so they would get around $22,000 in subsidies. But if they made the semi-truck with 4680 cells, then there is a cost saving of $50,000 just in the cells. Then Tesla get to take the full battery subsidy, which would mean a further $22,000 or so. In other words, it's a saving of over $70,000 using 4680 cells over 2170 cells in the semi-truck, thus making the semi-truck considerably more profitable, perhaps $100,000 profit per truck sold. But that's just guessing, as we haven't officially been told the latest prices. That would mean that the profit from the semi-truck per kilowatt hour is about the same as selling a Model Y. There is also a massive tax credit for the semi-trucks. Tesla need demand if they want to make as many vehicles as they claim, so it's paramount to get the prices down. It doesn't matter how many cool features the car have if most people simply can't afford one in the first place. Tesla have global capacity of over 2 million Model Ys a year, so the prices will need to drop. The 4680 version should in theory be the lowest cost of them all, potentially even lower cost than the rear-wheel drive version from Shanghai, which means if the 4680 prices come down too much, it could really hurt margins for the rear-wheel drive versions. Like we said, Tesla need to make a lot of cars and want to make them fast, as they are cell constrained. The 4680 process is the fastest way they can increase the supply of cells. The main reason for this is the dry battery electrode process, but also the 4680 cells themselves. The fact the volume is so much larger in a 4680 cell when compared to the 2170 cell simply means you need fewer cells for the same size battery. If you need to make fewer cells on the production line, then you can make enough cells for each battery that much faster. On top of that, Tesla's 4680 cells are a tabless design. Production lines that use tabs have to stop and start the line for each cell. With tabless, it means that you can have continuous production flow, not having to stop the line, which obviously means production speed is that much faster as a result. As we've recently seen, the footprint of a 4680 cell factory with a capacity of 100 gigawatt hours compared to the footprint of a 2170 cell factory with a capacity of just 35 gigawatt hours is insane. A 4680 factory is so much smaller and thus takes that less time in order to build. It would take forever to transition the world using 2170 cells, like thousands of years, if they were to do it building 2170 factories. Again, the main advantage of 4680 is the dry battery electrode process, reducing the footprint of the factory by about 1/10. Obviously, that is significantly less capex and time for each factory. Tesla need to produce 4680 cells because there is no other cell that has high energy density that can be produced at such a rate. In other words, Tesla need nickel-based cells as they have much higher energy density and are lighter weight, especially for the Cybertruck. There's no way you could power the Cybertruck with LFP cells. The same applies for the semi-truck too, which, although the first 20 or so were using 2170 cells, the next semi-trucks will be using 4680 cells. LFP cells simply don't provide enough energy density and are too heavy, thus sacrificing range as a result. If Tesla are going to make the likes of vans, pickup trucks and SUVs, then they need powerful cells to propel them, or there will not be much range or performance. Perhaps the compact version could use LFP cells, but we don't really know if there will be a compact model or if it would just be some form of robotaxi, which, if so, would benefit from more range and a smaller size battery, which is what the 4680 cell is ideal for. Tesla are currently at a run rate of 4 gigawatt hours a year with the 4680 cell. This is from their pilot line based in Cato Road, near the Fremont factory. The line has a capacity of 10 gigawatt hours a year, so they are at around 40% capacity. However, there are 4 more lines just in Texas, each with a capacity of 25 gigawatt hours a year, and the first line is operational now. Elon says that it likely won't be until 2024 until we really start seeing the 4680 cells ramp, and that's when we expect to finally see the progress, although it's difficult to judge his timelines. Therefore, in my opinion, I think the future of this company is dependent on the progress of these cells. Not only the run rates we see coming out of Texas, but also the energy density. Currently, the energy density is not as high as 2170 cells. However, there is no silicon contained in the anode of the current 4680 cells we're seeing. If Tesla were able to add silicon into the anode, then it changes everything. They will have high energy dense 4680 cells. This is obviously what is required to power the semi-truck and Cybertruck and get the Model Y to a range closer to the current 2170 version. It's just a matter of working in the chemistry over time and improving it as production improves. This is why, to me, the 4680 cell is the most important part of the future of Tesla's progress. But let me know what you think is the most important in the comments below. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.